My friends, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So we finally, on Twitter, got to the 1,000 likes. But I ain't playing with you guys next week, man. We better get there in a hurry because it's late on Sunday night. Y'all are getting into my whiskey and video game and guitar time, and that's not cool. So if you want these videos, I'm happy to make them for you. I want to help you, but just a little bit of takes 2 seconds. Pink, like. All right, let's jump into it. You guys know the deal. Nothing I'm saying is financial advice. Just trying to give you my honest opinion of what I think the market is going to do. If you haven't done so already, please follow me on Twitter, Colin_Gladman. I uploaded a video earlier today just talking about how I do think we're getting into some dangerous territory for some people just because market has constantly been going higher and higher and higher. A lot of people making insane gains. I saw it on Friday. I had my best week ever this past week. So it's always a time to, when that starts happening, everybody gets a little euphoric. They think they can't miss. They think they're Warren Buffett. It's just, that always makes me nervous. I still think overall we're going higher through the end of the year and into mid-January. But remember too, Wednesday and Thursday, I believe this week, do your own research, but we are getting inflation data. The Fed, in my opinion, has taken a back seat on inflation. They've been more focused on the economy. So as far as I'm concerned, unless those inflation numbers really come out super scary, it's buy the dip mode. That's what I'm looking at. Any great dips, I'm going to be looking at buying as of right now. You all guys know the deal. I will tell you if I think otherwise, which is also why you need to follow me on Twitter, because as things happen throughout the week, I always tell my traders every second the market is open, you are getting new data, so you need to be prepared as that happens. So if we get to SPY on a daily basis, SPY's starting to pull back. What I like about it, everything that I'm seeing though, is IWM just went on a really nice run, and QQQ was lagging, and then SPY has been the leader all year, so it's just kind of chilling. QQQ's had a really nice run here recently, so we're starting to get those laggers. So as we're constantly seeing money getting rotated around, and those laggers getting picked up, that's what you want to see in a healthy market. If everything was just blowing through the roof, that ain't good. Just like if everything is selling off, that ain't good either. So SPY has pretty much just been trading sideways. I always like to start taking a look on the weekly basis, but we basically had a huge week followed by 2 weeks of consolidation, followed by a breakout. So this is where we gapped up, came back, retested the previous highs right here, and then we continue to push up, right? It's exactly what you want to see in a good, healthy market. So don't listen to the perma bears who are they think the world's going to end every single day. We have been putting in some reversal style looking candles, but just like in the summertime where we saw a lot of low volume and chop, as some people call it a sleepy market. Overall, this is what you expect to see. So I do want to see SPY continue to break out above the 605. I said 605 to 610 were my targets for last week. Let's see here. What high did we hit? I don't think, 609.07. So we finished right in that target range. I still think any downside, you just want to see this gap protected right here at about that 605 level. Even if we dip down into it and get a nice little reverse out of it, that's nothing. It really is. I said that there was going to be a red day, that the perma bears would come out and be like, "Oh, I told you," and then we would just reverse right back up and keep going. And that's what we've got going on so far. So nothing has changed from my past weekly outlooks. Easy for me to say. So we came up here, we bumped our head on the 618, then we came up here, now we bumped our head on the 786. So once we start building a base over 610, we're just going to continue floating on up towards that 615 to 617 level. I think it's probably, you're going to see some low volume and some chop leading up to those CPI and PPI reports, and then we'll really see volume start to come in both on Wednesday and Thursday on into the week. So don't be surprised if you see some low volume leading up to these big economic events. It's very common. Big money has already placed their bets, if you will. So chop is totally cool. There'll still be stocks that can run. So stocks can have nice moves, but me personally, I'm not looking at trading any of the indexes right now leading up into that inflation data. For Qs, exact opposite look of SPY, right? Big nice move, 3 weeks of consolidation, then we got the big breakout. If we go down to the daily, this is what I talked about here this last week. We had the breakaway gap right here, followed by a push, followed by another gap up, and this gap up was above previous highs. We gapped up, and then of course Friday had a nice move, volume supporting this big nice gap up move on increased volume, then a consolidation day on low volume, followed by another gap up and move on Friday. So I still expect tech to stay strong, and if a stock like Nvidia decides to join the party, then just that much better, that much stronger. I still think tech is going to be one of the biggest ralliers. So it has hit its one move. So as far as I'm concerned, this move right here has played out. Everything else at this point in time is gravy on the biscuit. We are in price exploration territory. So this is where you kind of go, I'm not really looking for any specific price targets. I'm just looking for continued support of buyers beyond these levels. The next big extension to look for is once we get to about 536, which I definitely think that we will by the end of the year. If CPI and PPI is really good, we'll get that this week. Any pullbacks on QQQ, I would just want to see 520 showing support. Want to see those gaps supported. IWM, well, I guess the secret's out here. This was what I talked about with my Discord. I think it's set up for a beautiful flag position to then push higher. If CPI and PPI come in cool, I think IWM is going to be the biggest mover. I thought it was probably going to be the biggest mover on Friday. I was wrong. I posted the loss on my Twitter page. We had the gap up, but we just didn't have the follow through, right? So we gapped up. I really thought we were going to go to about 243 to 244 on Friday. We gapped up and it just kind of sold off, but it's just hanging out in this consolidation pattern up here. It's, time is not the bear's friend when and if this happens. So you start getting above 245, it's going to continue to move quickly. I think good CPI, PPI, we can see 250 this week. You guys know the deal though. Trade your plan. Not mine. I'm just a dude on the internet. I'm dumb. So, Tesla, I said, if you didn't buy this dip on Friday, I've taught you nothing. And that's true. I've taught you nothing. You had your gap up, came back, retested the previous resistance. Every single time it did that, 3 15-minute wicks in a row where it was constantly getting bought up. Then it consolidated here in a beautiful ascending triangle pattern, and then boom, off to the races. Tesla looks fantastic. We'll see what it does. It moved up like another 5 or 6 points. Full disclosure, you guys know me. I am a full-on Tesla bull, but I'm not a dumb one that's going like, oh, Tesla, win 5 trillion, stuff like that. What I like about it, though, is so we had our move post-Trump election, right? So you got your earnings move, then you got your Trump move, and then we've had a lot of consolidation. And the great thing about Tesla is even when it's consolidating, it's still very playable, which I did. But we basically went sideways for 3.5 weeks. And now we're just now catching our breakout. Our volume is coming in here. Now, I want to be clear. I do think we're on the last leg of this move because I do think this is an impulsive 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are on 5. Now, 5 is the trickiest move to always catch just because you don't know if it's going to extend. Technically, once we hit 400, that move has played out. But with the strength and the volume that we've got going on, if the market is even remotely decent, Tesla can absolutely be a leader. The best case scenario is Tesla gaps up over 400 going into market open. And then, of course, we've got our previous all-time highs, which a lot of people are going to be bearish once it gets there. Not this guy, right? I think that'll be awesome. But you can see that 618, what I just talked about, let me zoom in here a little bit closer. What I just talked about, and that 786, like this is where this move starts to peak out. And also, too, this is where the maximum amount of retail participation really starts to drive this move because smart money, if you will, is already in this trade. And what do I always say, right? Once all the smart money is in the trade, there's only one kind of money left. So just be cautious. I do think once this move has played out, Tesla's going to go through a corrective move after that, and it can be a little annoying and drawn out and painful and all that kind of stuff. So I am still very optimistic, but I am cautious. The reality is in this is where I'll get a great. So it can go up or down. That's super helpful. And if that's the type of person that you are, please just turn it off right now. I would appreciate it more if you would. But the reality is I think this move can be anywhere between 400 all the way up to 600 if we get an extended move here. So I don't think 600 is the most likely on this move. I think, though, what is most likely is we do get through all-time highs. We do continue to push. Then that's when a lot of retail starts going, oh, it's broken out, new all-time highs and everything like that. And then we get a little ruggy after that. So overall, what I'm kind of thinking is we might push up to around in here. Then it kind of pulls back, and then it's going to kind of do one of those. All right. I still fully believe that Tesla can 2 to 3x over the next 12 to 18 months from here. Once again, not financial advice. Trade your plan. I'm just a dude on the internet clicking buttons. Any pullbacks on Tesla towards 360 are going to be incredibly buyable. I certainly will. I will buy any dip back towards key support levels from here on out. But like I said, you do you. Let's get into some other ones. SoFi, I think potentially is getting ready for its next move. I love the hammer candle here after the downtrend and consolidation on increased volume. I've already talked about how I think IWM potentially could be the strongest. I'm just chilling on shares that I bought down here in like the $13 range. I'm just chilling on that. But it's a great move overall. And then if we back out to that weekly basis, you are starting to see some signs of reversal, but even if it came back and just built out a base up in here, I still think SoFi looks really, really good in here. Mara is another one that I'm in, very bullish on. I love this kind of ascending triangle look. I think, and you can see, right? The move comes in, the volume picks up on the move upward, and then as we're consolidating, the volume continues to dry out. I do want to see a move, by the end of this week. I think anything over 30, Mara really starts to look good. And yes, that kind of goes in with all the other miners and everything like that. I'm not going to sit here and take the time to look at all the different ones. Wolf was another one off the top of my head that looks good as well. Nvidia. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I told my team that I think Nvidia potentially could be the Tesla of this year. And what I mean by that is Tesla last year was like at 265 right at the end of the year. And then it got distributed even as the markets kept rallying. Tesla took a big hit because of the concern of growth. The reality is even though Nvidia still blew out their earnings and guided up, you're starting to see a little bit of a pause in the growth story, if you will. Now, at the end of the day, as long as this keeps basing above all-time highs, Nvidia has the tendency to do one of these. Look like it did the thing. Just want to be sure. So Nvidia. You better work. If not, they're going to be mad at you. But Nvidia has the habit of doing. Somebody send me a new mic. GoFundMe. Test. All right, let's try to keep going. So, I said that Nvidia, the head and shoulders chart, was going to be probably the number one chart that you see over the weekend. Honestly, I didn't see it as much as I thought. But if it starts to come down here back towards 135, you're going to see it. I promise you. The reality is Nvidia is still innocent until proven guilty as far as I'm concerned, mainly because it's still above all of its short-term EMAs and SMAs. So what I would like to see is I would like to see it regain about that 145. If it starts looking good above 145 again, then get ready for Let me go to the hourly. If it starts looking good here, it might consolidate a little bit, but don't be surprised when you start seeing one of these go on. And then you just kind of whoop, and then gone. That's what I'll be looking for on Nvidia. Hood, I really like the look of Hood. Had a super ugly day on Thursday and a nice recovery day on Friday. Buyers obviously stepped in. This $40 level, I want to see support there. Hood very much reminds me of Palantir. Y'all remember me talking about Palantir on this breakout right here? Yeah, doing pretty well. I think Palantir can still continue to go higher. Hood is another one that I absolutely love going forward. Unity, this is one that I've been in since 20 bucks. I love the weekly look. If we go on the daily, looks just kind of like a pause in the trend as far as I'm concerned. We got the breakthrough. Then on Friday, we showed that level of that 2720 acted as support. Volume started to drop off a little bit. So it might trade a little sideways here. Just let those EMAs catch up. And I think it's going to continue pushing. I'm still in it with shares. Let's go GME. This is a chart on a weekly basis I still absolutely love. If it's going to get ugly, I think it's just going to be consolidation ugliness, where it can be in this sort of ascending triangle of death, trade sideways, let that IV cool. When IV cools, that's when you want to look at potentially buying options, if that's your jam, on meme stocks. But if it continues to show that 25 is support and a new base, then it's only a matter of time before it breaks 30. It starts basing over 30, and this thing's going to go, right? Because this is just not a bearish look. You have your massive squeeze, obviously, long-term correction and consolidation. Volume comes in on the breakout move, consolidating, volume dries out, starting to curl back up. And obviously, if Roy and Kitty tweets something, then sweet, even better. AMC, Dilution Central, still holding its breakout gap. That's what I want to see. I want to see this gap right here continue to hold. Also, for people who don't understand gaps, this is not a gap close. When the wicks cross each other, that is not a gap close, period. You have to get, this price needs to come back below the closing price of this day right here. That closing price was $4.55. This low was $4.61. So I'm not a math major, but there is still a 6-cent gap there. Once this price closes that gap and then pushes back up, then the gap is closed. Wicks touching each other is not a gap close. Hope that was worth it. Starting to see, want to see, so back here, we had a failed golden cross, right? Starting to curl up here, want to see it show support over that 200 and 50-day average. And the good news is still this falling resistance right here, we showed support. So still, as far as I'm concerned, this is still a valid breakout. And obviously, if GME gets running, those two are in the same basket. That's just a bonus as far as I'm concerned. Peloton, love the look of this chart still. Don't love the high volume shooting star. It's not that bad a volume. But so long as this gap up right here continues to hold, it's going to continue to base. It's going to curl out and it's going to go. And if we look at Peloton on a weekly basis, right, this just looks like waiting for EMAs to catch up and then continue. Might trade sideways here for a little while, and that's totally fine by me because I'm only in shares. Once you get back up here, getting above kind of that 13 to 15 area, once you start pushing through that, it's going to be on, in my opinion. Apple, this one is another ascending triangle breakout that is moving. So had a couple of strong days here. Don't be surprised if this week Tesla gives you a little bit of this type of action in here. But like I said, we'll see what it opens up at if it gaps up. If it gaps up really big, I'm taking profits, but you do you. But I like the look of Apple still consolidating up here. Might trade sideways. I still think 250 is very doable by the end of the year. This is the one that I bought shares in. Okay. SQ. I love the look of this. You have a massive weekly inverse head and shoulders playing out. You have a breakout. Let me scroll in here. Look at the volume that came in on this breakout move. You are breaking out of a, what is this, like 2-year consolidation in an inverse head and shoulder. Now, I'm just in shares. It could kind of do this for a little bit before getting that next move, but this thing absolutely looks fantastic, and there's a lot of charts out here that look like this. Overall, I absolutely think anywhere between 124 to 200 over this next year is going to happen. Let's see here. Okay, one stock, though, that I don't love the look of, just being as honest as I can, AMD. I know there's a lot of people that are in it. I'm still waiting for, honestly, kind of a very similar reaction. So right back here, we had the gap up, then sold off. But remember here, once it broke out, this looked like a clean, solid breakout of this move right here. Then it came out, rolled over, took out all the stops along the way, and then a V-shaped recovery happened. So doesn't have to do the same thing, but I would like to see at a minimum this low right here of 132. I would like to see that low get taken out, and it didn't. I guess it pretty much made it close to a double bottom, but I'd like to see it actually get taken out. So what I would like to see is if this kind of bear flag look does play out, if AMD takes out 128 and 132 and starts to get a pretty V-shaped recovery look going on, I think it's on at that point in time for AMD. So it's not something that I'm doing anything other than watching closely. Trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to cover. I don't know. I've looked at so many freaking charts this weekend, guys. I'm not even going to lie. I said, overall, so let's sum up and then I'm going to get out of here. So overall, still think the markets overall are going to go higher. I think now through about mid-January, it's going to be full steam ahead. There's just so much structurally going on with the markets right now that it would take something like World War III happening for any significant pullback. It really will. Once we get past, mid-January and stuff like that, there's going to be a time, first part of the year, as new administration comes in, all that kind of stuff, a little bit more uncertainty starts to come in. I think it'll be a time to be much more cautious at that point in time. But overall, and I think 2025, I was a little bit more concerned about it, but I think overall 2025 is going to be a really good year. I think the markets are going to continue to go higher. I hope this video was helpful to you. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. When I post, give me 1,000 likes to get a video going. Like it. Like I'm asking for less than 2% of the amount of people that follow me. Shouldn't be that hard. Much love. Have a wonderful week. And I will see you. I'll see you when I see you. Much love, guys.